Well, I finally come to terms with dishes, and that, like laundry, they are never completely done. I mean, well, I guess they could be, but guess what that means? It means it's time to eat again. It's time to make more dishes. With laundry, the same, you know? As soon as you get it all dressed, or all washed, and you're gonna have to get dressed again. So, I've finally forgiven myself for having dishes. I somehow, all these years that I've been in the kitchen and worked in messy kitchens, I've always thought it was because I was a messy person. And it's like, you know, other people just know how to keep their kitchens clean. And I realized, no, it's impossible to keep a kitchen clean, especially one that's in use. And mine has been in a lot of use lately, which is what I want. So I've never done a video like this. This is very raw, very honest. I probably won't post it just because nobody wants to see my dirty dishes. Plus, I need 2 hands really to do this properly. What I've been doing that's been helpful, that I've never managed to do before, is to kind of rinse things off as I'm going and putting them to the side. Also keeping all the silverware. I learned this from being a waitress and working in restaurants. Separate and soak silverware. That's probably the best tip I could give regarding that. That's worked for me. My kitchen, I use a lot of spoons, knives, rubber spatulas, and I prefer glass and silicone as far as, like, you know, for my baking needs. I like to work with that. Silicone is relatively new. I had tried it years ago and didn't like it. You do have to have something underneath, which is, you know, if you notice when I made the cheesecakes, they were sitting inside of a glass 9x13 pan, because if you try to fill up a silicone and pick it up, you see how floppy it is. The batter would flow everywhere. So that's a tip. If you're going to be using silicone, remember to always have it on a solid surface that you can move. I have trays that I use for the oven. I also have trays I use for my freezer. I call them freezer trays and baking trays. The freezer trays are just plastic serving trays like you would find in a cafeteria, but you could use a cookie sheet. It doesn't matter as long as it's a solid surface. Oh, and I wanted to show this really quick. I found this at Aldi. Aldi is where I get the bulk of my groceries. $10, which was ridiculously cheap. Hopefully it's a good one. I pretty much ruined my last pan with the last batch of brownies I made. They stuck so terribly bad that, because I had already just bought a new pan that was actually more the size I was wanting to begin with, I threw the other one away rather than wash it. I'll admit it. It was that bad. And I don't do that very often. So just so you know, I don't make a habit of just throwing away a pan because I don't want to wash it. But I did in that case. That's how bad of a disaster it was. So again, you know, these are going to be, I'm going to portion these out and make the bases for the brownie bases for the same silicone that I used for the white chocolate chip raspberry. I tried baking the brownie batter into the silicone and it did not do well. I don't know if it was the recipe or what, but I had, just by chance, happened to have already made brownie bites for something else. And I thought, what would happen if I took this tamper here and just smashed it? And lo and behold, it was the perfect size to fit in the bottom of the silicone cheesecake mold I had. So that was an accidental eureka moment for me. I'm very proud of it. Sometimes, you know, you just gotta try it. You never know what's gonna happen until you try it. So there's a lot of failures in my kitchen, believe me. I mean, people think, they see the finished product and think, oh my gosh, how did you do that? I'm like, believe me, I wanted to cry several times because I messed up. And I often get so discouraged that I don't even come into my kitchen for days at a time, weeks at a time. That's a big reason why I haven't open my own bakery. People say, you know, with all your talent, why haven't you done this? And why are you not more successful and have done more? And that just makes me feel more discouraged. And today I had the insight of, well, maybe you're exactly where you need to be right now. And this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And just accepting that as being true just shifted my mood. I've definitely had a dark cloud hanging over me the past, I don't know, it's been off and on for months, really. And I know the whole world is dealing with their own struggles, so it's kind of in the air, so to speak. But also, I walked out to check my mail today. I've been so isolated and feeling down, and I was not feeling well a couple weeks ago, but I walked out of the house today and thought, wow, it feels like spring. It smells like spring. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but like just the air, and the birds were singing too. And the snow is almost completely melted now. Somehow I managed to pick up 2 dish towels. I don't know how that happened. Now, growing up, I grew up on a farm with a well that often ran dry, or the pump would break, so water was always very scarce growing up. And I think that that's part of the reason I have had difficulty learning how to wash my own dishes, because I was more concerned about conserving my water, which I'm not, you know, that is still a good thing to do. I don't want to advocate wasting water, but just only in the last, you know, in my recent life have I been able to use water more freely without worrying too much about it running out or the bill going too high, you know. So, oh, that makes me feel nice. That makes me feel good. Clean stovetop. I feel like I've been talking for 30 minutes. It's only been 7, but I'm gonna go ahead and end this and give it a watch.